What makes a video go viral? Is it its ability to make you laugh? Or maybe the day of the week in which it was posted? Or maybe it's some secret tactic that the owners of social media companies don't want us to know? Or maybe the answer is a lot more simple than we think. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, what makes a video go viral? Because realistically, if we know the answer to that question, then surely we can go viral ourselves. Also, fun fact, I actually did my dissertation on this topic, so I'm in my element right now. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jade Beeson. I upload content just like this every single week. So hit subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get to it. Okay, so I'm trying to be as pragmatic as I possibly can when it comes to answering this question, right? So I'm going to break down my answer into two sections. The first is going to be about the data. So we're going to look at actual numbers, which will tell us why videos go viral. And then we're going to look at the experts. So the people who study this, the people who live and breathe virality, we're going to hear what they have to say about why videos go viral. So let's kick off with the data. Don't stress. I'm not just going to be making you analyze the data. I've done it already, and I'm going to be telling you what the data means. So there's a marketing technology company called Unruly. Shout out to those of you who work at Unruly because you have been incredibly useful when it comes to preparing for this video. They analyzed over 430 billion video views. This is why I'm giving them a shout out because that sounds like that took a lot of work. And also over 100,000 customer data points. So they can come up with a list of things which actually lead to a video going viral. So I paired this data in addition to data from other sources. I will link to all of my sources below to come up with a list of 3 things which highly contribute as to whether or not a video is going to go viral. So the first thing is a psychological response, or the way that I like to see it is like an emotional response. And this is potentially the answer that you would have given me if I asked you why do videos go viral. Because 9 times out of 10, when I speak to someone about a video that's gone viral, they're usually talking about a video that's funny. And humor is a positive emotional response to a piece of content. So because we're constantly seeing viral videos that are funny, we're telling ourselves that the only way to go viral is to be funny. And you'll be pleased to know, at least for those of us who aren't naturally funny, that that isn't always the case. In an article by Harvard Business Review, they broke down the top 4 positive and the top 4 negative emotions that people feel when they watch a viral piece of content. Let's start off on a positive note. When it comes to the positive emotions, you've got warmth, which is the #1 spot, followed by happiness, then hilarity, which is the humor that we're speaking about, and then followed by surprise. So if you're trying to create a viral piece of content, it doesn't only have to be funny. There are other positive emotions that you could focus on. In terms of negative emotions though, because unfortunately, the way that we are programmed as human beings, we tend to respond almost as powerfully to negative content as we do to positive content. So the top 4 negative emotions that people often feel towards the most viral content are confusion, contempt, disgust, and anger. Now, most of you guys watching this aren't going to want to focus on triggering those kind of emotions from an audience. So instead, I want you to focus on the lovely positive emotions and think about how you can make your audience feel warm or happy or laugh or surprised as a result of your content. Now, this data also does a great job at breaking down motivations behind people sharing, because that's one of the biggest factors when it comes to whether or not your content is going to go viral. At the end of the day, what we all need to remember is the reason why stuff goes viral is because people are sharing it. A lot of the time we convince ourselves that things go viral simply because Instagram or YouTube or whatever social media platform we are on decided to push it and it be seen by thousands of people.
That is not true.
We're forgetting that the reason why this piece of content might be getting loads of views and why our social media channel is pushing it is because other people are responding to it and sharing it, right? Sharing online is the equivalent of word of mouth. It is our audience's way of sharing content that aligns with them, that signals something about them as a person with their audience. And by doing so, we are massively expanding the amount of people who see our content and increasing the chances of that piece of content going viral. So what motivates people to actually share? Well, there are a bunch of different reasons. So I'm just going to focus on the top 3. The first is opinion seeking. So a lot of the time people will share your content because they want to know what their friends think of your content. And I found this really interesting because I don't think I think about this very much, but it's very true. People might share your content simply because they want to gather other people's opinions on it. The second motivation for sharing is conversation starting. And this one I do know about, and I think about this one quite a lot. So it's when you create a piece of content that other people want to share because they want to start an online conversation about it, right? The third most common reason for social sharing is social utility. So this is when people share your content because they think it will be useful for their friends. So this really reminds me of the era of quotes. Does anyone remember in like 2020 when if you logged onto Instagram, all you saw was quotes? That was it. There was just quotes and carousels and that was it. That really reminds me of that time because that was a time where people were sharing these quotes, one, to kind of signify who they are and what they believe in, but also to share them with their friends and family because they thought maybe this would help them too. And that is a perfect example of sharing for social utility. So this data concluded that most online sharing happens on a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday. And I want you to keep this in mind because this is going to pop back up in just a moment when we talk about what the experts say about viral content. So before we talk about what the experts say, let's just sum up what we can learn about the data that I just shared with you. The first is that the more emotions your content triggers within your audience, the more likely your audience are to share. So it's not just about picking one of those emotions, like warmth, for example, that you want your audience to feel as a result of your content. You want to try and trigger as many of those emotions, hopefully the positive emotions, as you possibly can, because the more emotions you trigger, the more likely your audience are to share your piece of content. The second thing that I learned from the data that I haven't mentioned yet, but is very important, is that there are a group of people called super sharers. And these are basically the people who are actually responsible for majority of the social media sharing online. So there are a group of people who share content constantly, almost daily on their social pages. And these are also the people who have a lot of influence. So when they share a piece of content with their audience, other people see it, other people pick it up. And that's what kind of triggers this chain reaction. So keep that in mind because as I explain that type of person to you, you might have someone in mind where you think, hold on a minute, I know someone who is an avid social media sharer and they also tend to have a huge amount of influence. Try and pinpoint those people because they could be the difference between your content not being seen by anyone and your content going viral. All right, so this is my favorite part. Not that I don't love the data, I love the data, but I also love to hear what experts say about this topic. And honestly, when it comes to viral video content, there's only one person who comes to mind, and that is Kevin Alaka.
Hi, I'm Kevin Alaka. I'm the trends manager at YouTube, and I professionally watch YouTube videos.
He's actually now the global director of culture and trends at YouTube, and he's the author of Videocracy. That clip that you just saw is from his TED Talk titled Why Videos Go Viral, which is very good, by the way. I'll include a link to it below. I've had the absolute pleasure of meeting Kevin in person, and I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Kevin at my next virtual event hosted specifically for creators and entrepreneurs. I'll tell you more about that later. But all of that to say that there are a few things I've learned from consuming his content and speaking with him directly about viral content that I want to share with you. The first is the importance of tastemakers. Now, tastemakers are quite similar to the super sharers that I mentioned in the previous section. So the super sharers were more your everyday people who have some influence online who share a lot of content, right? Now, tastemakers are people who often have even more influence, usually of like the celebrity kind of stature, and they have the power to share one piece of content and change the trajectory of that post. The example that Kevin uses is when Jimmy Kimmel actually tweeted a link to a YouTube video, which was all about a rainbow.
Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Now, when Jimmy tweeted a link to that video, the video absolutely took off. The video had been living on YouTube for a while with hardly any views, and then suddenly that video went massively viral, and it actually ended up accumulating millions and millions of views. Now, in addition to the power of tastemakers when it comes to viral content, Kevin also talks about the importance of community, but specifically community participation. Now, this is something that I have personally seen grow in importance so much more within the last few months to a year. And what it's basically referring to is when you create content that other people actually want to participate in. So we've kind of moved away from this world where a trending or viral piece of content was simply a video that other people consumed and that was it. We're now in this situation where the biggest trends are ones that other people can take part in. So they could take a video that they've seen that they love and they could put their own twist on it and adapt it in their own way. It's also the equivalent of when people take video content and stitch it or remix it or whatever you want to call it, depending on what platform you're on. In fact, do you know one of the best examples of this? Because this is the one that I see all the time at the moment. So you know the TikTok video where there's a creator, she starts her video by saying,
"Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought pesto."
Now, I have never actually seen that original video appear on my For You page on TikTok, but what I have seen is hundreds of other creators' videos who have remixed that to use it as the intro to talk about a story that is significantly wilder than the fact that this lovely creator doesn't like store-bought pesto, which I know everyone takes the piss out of her for it, but I mean, I thought that was pretty wild. I love store-bought pesto. I'm with you on this one, hun. I actually do these trend analysis videos with Kevin Alaka and his team. So I work directly with YouTube and I share some of the top social media trends with you guys through my content. And one of the biggest trends that I've seen month on month is this importance of creating a piece of content that other people want to participate in. This truly is the future of virality. And if you're able to nail that, then there really is a potential that you will go truly viral. So how do we use this very interesting information? Well, the first thing to do is to identify and then leverage the tastemakers. Am I telling you to tweet Jimmy Kimmel every time you create a good piece of content? Maybe. I'm probably more telling you to identify the people within your community, within your niche, within your audience group who are tastemakers and have that level of influence. And think about how you could share a piece of content that you're truly proud of with them in a new and innovative way, because who knows, they might share that with their audience. Think about how you can create content that is designed for participation. And of course, keep your ear to the ground about the different trends that others are participating in and join in with those trends too. Now, one last thing that I do want to say that I alluded to earlier that I thought was interesting. I said that the data told us that the most popular days of the week for social sharing are Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Interestingly, in Kevin's TED Talk, he shows a graph where you can clearly see the peaks in which different viral videos were being shared. Like, does anyone remember Rebecca Black's Friday video? Of course you do. Everyone does. But he actually showed a graph of her video and you could see clear peaks where people were sharing her videos more than on other days of the week. And that day was on a Friday. Does that mean you should only share your content on Fridays?
No.
Absolutely not. What it does mean though is maybe focus on applying all of these tips and tricks that you've learned on a Friday. Maybe share your favorite video to your audience on a Friday. There might be something in that, guys. Who knows? Go ahead and try that and be sure to DM me with your results. Now, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you are thinking, all right, Jade, that was super interesting, but what do I do next? Don't fret. I know exactly what you need to do next. You will have the opportunity to ask Kevin Aloka, who is the viral expert that I spoke about previously, and who's also the global director of culture and trends at YouTube, your questions during my next event called the Creator Project Live. Now, this is a virtual event, which is part of a series designed to help content creators and entrepreneurs thrive online and learn how to get paid. This next event is focusing on the secrets to YouTube success, and it is going to be incredible. Like, we've really outdone ourselves here. In addition to a full session with Kevin Aloka, and I really can't stress enough how big of a deal this is, and the opportunity for you to ask an actual YouTube insider your questions, there will also be a creator panel featuring two very successful creators, Adela Fadi and Natalie Barbu, and I will be hosting my YouTube Growth Masterclass, which is the exact masterclass I've shared with hundreds of creators that they've used to launch and scale their YouTube channels. I'm also, just to make the event just a little bit better because I couldn't help myself, I'm also going to be giving away a brand new Sony ZV-1, which is the exact camera that I'm currently filming this video on. I'm going to be giving away a brand new Sony ZV-1 to one lucky attendee during the actual event. So if you want to join the event live, have a chance to win that camera and ask these creators and experts your questions, it's taking place on the 15th of November. Now, if you can't make the event live, don't stress. You could purchase a replay ticket so that you can catch up in your own time. Head to thecreatorproject.com/live to get your hands on the tickets, or of course, I'm going to have a link in the description. All right, guys, if you feel like hanging around, I recommend watching this video. It's actually my recent trend report video, which is when I break down the top most viral trends on social media right now. So I'm fairly sure you're going to find this pretty interesting. Don't forget to get your tickets for the next edition of the Creator Project Live before they run out. And I cannot wait to see you there.